friends, it's Silly here with another Transgirl CNC, where we talk about comics, cartoons, and other awesome nerd shit. So, it's our end of the week video, formerly referred to as the midweek video. It feels like I haven't talked to you guys in a while, which is a joke because I just talked to you yesterday about The Legend of Korra. But today, we're actually going to talk about our actual topic, which is Slam and Slam the Next Jam. I went to see what other reviewers were saying about this comic. There's not a lot of people who've actually reviewed this comic, so that's interesting. But for the most part, let's not talk about what they said, because I'm just going to say that I'm going to give a pretty positive review. So if you're here for another one of those negative haha reviews, just turn it off, because that's not what we're here for. We're here to praise this comic because I think it's actually pretty great. Slam and Slam the Next Jam follow the stories of Jen and Maisie, referred to affectionately as Knockout, and I Think I Can, or just Can for short. It's a comic about roller derby, which is actually pretty stunning and amazing. I wish they made more comics about roller derby, and yeah, it's pretty good. I like it. The actual writer for the series, Miss Pamela Ribbon, is a actual roller derby person. She actually does roller derby. She writes other comics. She does it all. And that's really impressive. And so, you definitely get the feeling that there's a place of experience coming from somebody's perspective in the way that things are described and talked about, and the different levels of rules of derby that are put in throughout each issue, like how Lesson 8, or Lessons I should say, Lesson 8 there will be drama, Lesson 4 you'll either love it or it's like, you can just feel the personal touches throughout this comic, especially in the writing. Which isn't to say that the artwork is bad. Now the first series, Slam, was done by Veronica Fish, who didn't come back for the second series, Slam the Next Jam. That art was done by Marina Julia. Messed that up. Good job, me. It's okay, though. But the art looks spectacular throughout. It's done pretty well. Now, of course, not everybody is going to enjoy the art. That's fine. It pretty much looks like the cover. So if you like what you see on the cover, as far as artwork goes, then expect to like what's inside of it. That's what I want to say. Some some bonuses about this comic, it's just the pros that I like about this comic is that, I guess because of its personal touch from the writer, actually having lived derby life, or currently living derby life, it really makes me feel like I should go out there and join a roller derby team. There is actually a local one. I keep looking at them, and I have this comic to thank, really, for that. I'm probably never going to go out and try because of stuff, reasons, issues. Don't worry about it. It's not important. But it's always nice to think that I can, and this comic basically gave me the bug to look into it. So, let's talk about it a little bit, because we're going to talk about this. So, Jen and Maisie are what start out basically like everybody does as fresh meat on the team. They're trying out, they're practicing, drilling, etc., signing up for the rookie bouts because they want to get drafted into the actual league. Apparently, you can be fresh meat for a long time. Sometimes you never get picked for a team, you're just always, practicing derby. And, that's pretty fine. Roller derby in itself is all about camaraderie and, making meaningful connections with other women, so it's very female empowering. And so if you don't ever get picked for a team, it's not the end of the world. You can still make a ton of friends. One of the characters in the comic mentions that she was on Fresh Meat for 5 years before she finally got onto a team. So, if you're out there watching this, doing derby, and you're like, when am I ever going to get on a team? Just keep trying at it, I guess. So, there's that. So, Jen and Maisie. They eventually do a bout, and they both get picked for different teams. Jen gets picked out for the Pushy Riots, and Maisie gets picked for the Meteor Fights. I love the team names. I love the team names almost as much as I love everybody's derby name. Like, there's Gal Broker, and her story is that she broke a lot of bones before she finally made it onto, like, the actual league. And there's Velvet Coffin. Like, derby names are amazing. But the team names are pretty good, too. Like, the Las Furiosas, the Pushy Riots, the Meteor Fights, and others. So, the story is kind of about how Derby the first one, Slam, is kind of about how Derby changes the lives of these two women who are friends. They started off as really good friends, because they went through, the basic camp together. They've done all the training together, and they've basically kind of pushed each other along to be in this thing. Jen's life starts out as being, super, together, and she's in school for geology, and everything's kind of lines in a row. Her life's super busy, but she signs up for Derby anyway. Maisie, on the other hand, goes through a terrible breakup. Her boyfriend leaves her life's a wreck, and Derby basically builds her back up. And the thing about that is if your life's super busy, Derby's gonna mess it up. You'll either make room for it, or it'll make room for itself if you're gonna continue with it. So there's that, I suppose. But so for Jen, Derby gets super hectic. She's falling behind on her assignments. She's having to do extensions after extensions for her projects. But she loves Derby, and she loves doing it. Maisie, on the other hand, she's not the best at Derby, but she practices every single chance she gets. She really works herself up, and it pays off for her eventually. But as their lives kind of, being on different teams, and they kind of get a little separated from each other, instead of, Maisie and Jen connecting with each other outside of practices and stuff, Maisie's connecting with more of her team. She's, getting what is called a new Derby wife, a new best friend, and Jen takes it to heart. Meanwhile, Jen is also getting her own new friend who really likes her, and she's not even on a team. Jen's just going to practices and free skates, trying to, keep in shape and keep on everything because she wants to be in Derby, but she's not going to let her life fall to pieces too. And so as they grow apart from each other, they get into a fight because growing apart is painful. It can mess up a friendship if you're not, done, not necessarily not done correctly, but, if things aren't handled okay. There comes to a point where it's an open skate, which means players of different levels can all be on the same track, practicing, and not only is Jen there, but Maisie is there as well because, she needs to get in her practice hours because she's trying to, get off the bench and get on the team, more or less. She got drafted, but they're, just keeping her in reserves because she's not the greatest skater, and so they're really trying with her. And in this skate, Maisie's getting jealous of Kristen, who's Jen's new friend. Jen is pretty much jealous of Gal Broker, who's hanging out with Maisie a whole lot. But what happens is that Maisie slams real hard into Kirsten, and it pisses off Jen, and they both get thrown out of, open skate. They're like, okay, no drama, not tonight, y'all go. And then it basically really hurts their friendship for a short while. I mean, you know me, I like to kind of give the broad strokes of everything, but I don't want you to worry because we're going to talk, about the next jam too. And so, Maisie gets actually off the bench and onto the team just in time for the Meteor Fights and the Pushy Rice to face off against each other in a jam, more or less. I mean, it's called a bout. There are jams within the bout, so there we go. So, as they're, squaring off, more or less, like, each of them thinks that the other one hates them, and so they get up to skate. And so if you're, it's not, I guess, it says in a sport where you're constantly hitting each other, of course there's going to be feelings, but they get in there with some real intense feelings, and Jen, like, bumps the shit out of Maisie and sends her totally off the track and onto her shoulder. It's bad. It is not good. Mm-hmm. And so everybody's like, okay, come on, Knockout, you gotta get back on here and skate with us and, finish the thing. But she's like, my friend is hurt, and she's like my best friend, and I really care for her. And so she makes a decision to get off the track and help get Maisie to a car. And basically that's where the first comic ends, and we pick up in the next comic after these events, and it looks really dire for Jen, for Knockout, because they're like, she's on suspension because she, left in the middle of the match. She hopped off the track for another team's person, like, so she's on suspension while her team tries to figure out what to do with her, more or less. I don't necessarily understand why this was such a big deal, but once again, I'm not in Derby. Like, I want to be. Like, it's like gnawing out my bones to be in this thing, but I'm not. And as much as I want to be, I'm not. So I can't understand why this would be such a big deal. I mean, if it were my best friend and I had hurt them, I would have left the bout too. Maybe I'm just a different kind of person. Maybe I'm not built for roller derby. Who knows? I don't. Because I'm probably never trying out, which is sad in its own way. But as it turns out, after letting Jen sweat for a while, it turns out that she's not going to be kicked out of the team. She's just given more probation, and then she has to coach the new rookies. And it goes. Like, that's the way to go. Whereas one team of rookies is being treated to, like, Disneyland and going to escape rooms and really building these team bonding exercises, Jen is pushing her team to work. They're practicing all the time. They're practicing early, practicing often, practicing hard. Like, she makes them go out to a regular field and practice just on shoes, and she's, like, running her team hard. And throughout this, she's also, joined by her grandmother, who apparently doesn't have the greatest health, so she's just looking after her grandmother for her parents. But her grandmother's like, yeah, you're doing the right thing. You need to be pushing your team. Of course you do. Of course, her grandmother's also like, but you can't push them too hard. They're not seeing the results they want to see, and stuff. Meanwhile, while all that's going on, Maisie is trying to get back into the swing of things. She's still hanging out with her team, but she's injured, and her good friend on the team is staying away from her because she feels like, you just remind me of how easy it is to get hurt in this sport, and that worries me, and I don't want to be around that. I'm kind of a jerk. She literally admits to being kind of a jerk in that sense. And I agree. Like, when your friends hurts, you don't, even if it makes you uncomfortable, I suppose, you don't avoid them. You try to help them through and along it. But where one friendship, of course, is not going as well because of, jerkiness, Jen and Maisie's friendship is stronger than ever because, Jen hopped off the track for her. And that proves more than anything that she wants to be Maisie's friend, that she still cares a lot about Maisie. On the other hand, we're getting a side story about Kirsten, who is on the team that Jen is coaching. And she stopped showing up to practice a couple of times. We get a really weird kind of panel of her apartment getting vandalized and on the outside of it, And that story is never really explained, which is why I think we're going to get more of this series. At least I hope we're going to get more of this series, because there's a lot of unanswered questions. So, while this is mostly a positive review, I will say that the way this comic has ended is not the way I would have possibly ended it, but these are both done in four comic runs, so there's only so much you can pop into that. I do think it'll get another set of comics. At least that's what I hope for. Drop the cap. Oh well. But yeah, there's a really weird. It feels like that was important, and it could have been touched more upon to give us a better understanding of what's going on with Kirsten. But it's fine, more or less. I mean, focusing on Jen kind of getting back into skating through training these people and them getting better, and Maisie's own story as she heals up, gets back on the skates. Also, her relationship with her new boyfriend, who we met in the previous comic, is suffering because he's really into derby now because of her, and she feels like he's trying to kind of take this away from her, because she's hurt and she can't skate. It's not logical, but feelings and emotions aren't in any kind of way. But they kind of do make up, and I do like that and enjoy that happy ending. For them, at least, in that sense. So, I definitely suggest both these comics. 4-issue runs. There's a Humble Bundle, that has them, that you can, pick them up from. So, definitely look into it. Check into these. I think you'll enjoy it if you do. And like I said, maybe this is the only positive video review that'll ever be on YouTube for this comic, but I'm never going to say I don't love something when I do. So, that's it. That's everything I have to say. It's a good comic. Read it. Art's good. Story's good. Love the characters. What are we going to do for the main video? I don't know. I don't know what's coming up, but it's going to be good, because it's always good. But I'm Fire Princess Lily. Until next time, love comics, love cartoons, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.